It is currently April 21st, 2026, 7:57 Eastern Time when this was recorded. I'll be reading the manifesto Alexander Karp sent over to social media, which is not only disturbing but also against Stellism and Motonism itself. Humanity in of itself is some of the worst manifestos I've ever read in my entire life that basically admits that Alexander Karp wants to be God, wants to kill people of all kinds that he thinks inferior to himself and his billionaire friends. And to give him benefit of credit, I think it's better he says it now. To be honest, I think it's better he says it now and admits, look, I want to take over the world. I want to kill people that are inferior to me. I want this to be one race. I want to be one race, one skin color, one culture. He hates pluralism. He hates multiculturalism. He hates humanity. He hates basically all forms of things and wants to call himself the guide to Antichrist, like what Donald Trump did earlier just a few days ago, saying that I am God, that all these people need to die, that he wants to genocide entire nations. After he went out on a tangent like that, and now Palantir's very CEO, Alexander Karp's not going around saying that I will be Skynet 2.0. At least we got that out of the way, so we'll be reading it today. Palantir's Alexander Karp's manifesto, the Technological Republic in brief. Alexander Karp starts with a few points that he'll list out that I'll read to you, and I will not put any of my opinion into this. I'll just be reading what he sent and not adding a singular thing on top of this. I hope that with all you tech bros out there, learn at the end of the day that you are all humans at the end of the day, and that you're still mortal human beings at the end of the day until we've discovered what immortality will bring us whenever we get to that technological revolution side of things, whenever it comes to expanding on life itself and lengthening it so that we achieve many more things possible whenever we get to such along the way. So, here we go. Number 1, Silicon Valley owes a moral debt to the country that made its rise possible. The engineering elite of Silicon Valley has an affirmative obligation to participate in the defense of the nation. Number 2, we must rebel against the tyranny of the apps. He is on fucking drugs. Is the iPhone our greatest creative, if not crowning, achievement as a civilization? The object has changed our lives, but it may also now be limiting and constraining our sense of the possible. Remember that Alexander Karp is saying this, not myself. I'm merely reading what he's saying. Number 3, free email is not enough. The decadence of a culture or civilization, and indeed its ruling class, will be forgiven only if that culture is capable of delivering economic growth and security for the public. He's basically saying that I should fucking control you, you should do what I say, and you should give me all your money, and you should obey the law, and the law is us. Anyways, he says, point number 4. The limits of soft power or soaring rhetoric alone have been exposed. The ability of free and democratic societies to prevail requires something more than moral appeal. It requires hard power, and hard power in this century will be built on software. He's saying that AI war drones are the solution and that you should fucking obey the law, and the law is us. Point number 5. He says, the question is not whether AI weapons will be built, it is who will build them and for what purpose. Our adversaries will not pause to indulge in theatrical debates about the merits of developing technologies with critical military and national security applications. They will proceed. He's basically saying that all my tech friends out there are also anti-Christ, anti-humans, and they want to take over the world, and we should do it together, and that AI weapons should be made better so that we can take over the world faster and that we kill more people. Like if it's a video game, it's like a video game to him because he's so rich and powerful that he honestly doesn't see humans as humans. He sees them as products, to be amended from. Point number 6, he says, national service should be a universal duty. We should, as a society, seriously consider moving away from an all-voluntary force and only fight the next war if everyone shares in the risk and the cost. He's basically saying that if you don't fight wars for us and you don't do what we say, we will draft you by force and we will make you kill innocent people for absolutely no reason. That is what he's saying. He's saying that if we become national service, you and everybody you know and your entire family must fight a war. And you will be forced to. Point number 7, if a US Marine asks for a better rifle, we should build it. And the same goes for software. We should as a country be capable of continuing a debate about the appropriateness of military action abroad while remaining unflinching in our commitment to those who have asked to step into harm's way. Then he says, point number 8, public servants need not be our priests. Any business that compensated its employees in the way that the federal government compensates public servants would struggle to survive. He's basically saying that if rich people and evil people are not in power and that they don't get what they deserve, he will take and strip us of our rights and our money and our freedoms and say that fuck you, rich people should step on you and you should fucking shut up and do what we tell you. That's basically what he's saying. Then he says, point number 9, we should show far more grace towards those who have subjected themselves to public life. The eradication of any space for forgiveness, a jettisoning of any tolerance for the complexities and contradictions of the human psyche may leave us with the cast of characters at the helm we will grow to regret. He is basically saying that you should give us everything that you ever think of and made, and you should credit all to us, and that we're superior, and that, you should never give forgiveness. You should give forgiveness to all those that are rich and powerful and evil who worsen the world and the planet itself, and that you should shut the fuck up and do what they tell you to do. Then he says, point number 10, the psycholization of modern politics is leading us astray. Those who look to the political arena to nourish their soul and sense of self will rely too heavily on their internal life, finding expression in people who they never meet will be left disappointed. He's basically saying that if you are not on my side, you'll be disappointed and you are inferior to me, and that you should do what I tell you to do. Then Alexander Karp says, with the point number 11, our society has grown too eager to hasten and is often gleeful at the demise of its enemies. The vanquishing of an opponent is a moment to pause, not rejoice. He is basically saying that what Netanyahu's genocide is doing is that it's a good thing, and that he is merely purifying an entire country's existence and saying that it's totally fine and it's totally acceptable to do. So we should genocide other countries and think that's okay as well. Then he says, number 12, the atomic age is ending. One age of deterrence, the atomic age, is ending, and a new era of deterrence built on AI is set to begin. He is not wrong, but he also is saying that I want to conquer the world with AI. Then point number 13, that no other country in the history of the world has advanced progressive values more than this one. The United States is far from perfect, but it's easy to forget how much more opportunity, guys, he said the O word, opportunity, exists in this country for those who are not hereditary elites than any other nation on the planet. He's basically saying that if you're not born from my bloodline, you are fucked. You should do what I tell you to do. You should shut up and you should obey the law, and the law is us. And if you're not born within my family, you do not get any say or power in the nation or the world. And he's basically admitting to saying that fuck you, elites rule, and if you're not hereditary, you are inferior and your blood is merely a peasant's. Then he says, point number 14, American power has made possible an extraordinarily long peace. Too many have forgotten or perhaps taken for granted that nearly a century of some version of peace has prevailed in the world without a great powerful military conflict. At least 3 generations, billions of people and their children and now grandchildren have never known a world war. You are factually wrong. We've had done numerous and dozens of proxy wars and have lost hundreds of thousands of lives, millions accrued from decades. Alexander Karp. As a matter of fact, we were never in peace, and we've always been at war with certain different countries. Look at the amount of regime changes we did in different countries, and the amount of Americans we threw out into different countries to lose the lives of, and we don't even know what their names are. They're gone. I don't think we were in peace. And then Alexander Karp starts with point number 15. The post-war neutering of Germany and Japan must be undone. The defanging of Germany was an overcorrection for which Europe is now paying a heavy price. A similar and highly theoretical commitment to Japanese pacifist will, if maintained, also threaten to shift the balance of power in Asia. He's basically saying that Adolf Hitler is the smartest man he has ever seen. He's saying Adolf Hitler is the best person. He's saying that Nazism is a good thing, and that we are a superior race, and that white people are better, and that intelligence is decided by him, and that's saying that Nazis are good and that Adolf Hitler was a genius. That's basically what he's saying, because not only did Japan and Germany also embrace Nazism and were taken over by a full-on dictatorship rule, they were taking over countries and literally causing death for numerous different countries during World War II and World War I. If he had done his research, he knows that what he's saying is basically saying we basically were too rough on Germany because Hitler was still around. So you all know, historically, Japan was also doing genocide in Korea. And let me tell you, where do you find that in American schools? Did they tell you about the genocide? No, I don't think so. Then point number 16, Alexander Carper says, we should applaud those who attempt to build where the market has failed to act. The culture arm of Snickers has much interest in grand narrative as if billionaires ought to simply stay in their lane of enriching themselves. Any curiosity or genuine interest in the value of what he was created is essentially dismissed, or perhaps lurks from beneath a thinly veiled scorn. What he's basically saying is that Elon Musk is a genius and that we should embrace Nazism, and all the stake hails he's been doing in public is good, and that we should continue to be extremists and tell people that they are inferior to our race, and that we should continuously take over the country with violent, massive extremist news networks and social media apps, just like China does, and that what Elon Musk is doing is correct, and that it is a movement of the people, which is not true. Then he says, Silicon Valley, which, by the way, point number 17, Alexander Karp says, Silicon Valley must play a role in addressing violent crime. Many politicians across the United States have essentially shrugged when it comes to violent crime, abandoning any serious efforts to address the problem or take on any risk with their constituencies or donors in coming up with the solutions and experiencing what should be a desperate bid to save lives. He's basically saying that rich people and evil and greedy and awfully disgusting genocidal creatures and psychopathic people should be at the top and should deal with violent crime and spend their wealth dealing with people who they decide are criminals because they say so, and that people should shut the fuck up and do what they tell you to do. So that's basically what he's saying. He's saying that rich people are superior and that our race is better, and that we are hereditarily more intelligent and better than you and any other nation that they think is inferior to them. So no, this is all not only is wrong, it's also evil and disgusting to say. But at least Palantir's new CEO, or besides Peter Thiel, he still has say in it. Peter Thiel, which is my main enemy, along with Alexander Karp. You both are like drug addicts or something, right? You full on wrote on a manifesto. You're now trying to say that whenever we donate money to you, that that money should go to you guys, and that you guys should deal with crime yourself, as if you're some police force in the government. Which, by the way, is Palantir admitting that they want to be government itself and dictate the lives of people, surveil them, and take over their minds and control them and tell them what to do to be outstanding citizens following and abiding the law, which is them as the law. That doesn't seem like a democracy. Then he says, point number 18, the ruthless exposure of private lives of public figures drives too far much talent away from government service. The public arena and shallow and petty assaults against those who dare to do something other than enrich themselves has become so unforgiving that the Republic is left with a significant roster of ineffectual empty vessels who ambition one which forgive if there were any genuine belief structure lurking within. He's basically saying that because you guys hate us, that we're not successful, and that we're not doing as well, and that you're at fault for not letting us control over the world. Then he says, point number 19, the caution in public life that we unwittingly encourage is corrosive. Those who say nothing wrong often say nothing much at all. He's basically saying, why don't you let us say manifestos and admit that we want to take over the world and that we want to kill people innocently and tell them what to do and control their lives and surveil them. That's basically what he's saying, that we should be more open about extremism and Nazism, that we want to take over the world. Then point number 20, Alexander Karp says, the pervasive intolerance of religious belief in certain circles must be resisted. An elite's intolerance of religious belief is perhaps one of the most telling signs that its political project constitutes a less open intellectual movement than many within it could reclaim. That is some of the most ironic and most hyperbole thing you can say in your statement, Mr. Alexander Karp, because I've been studying you, and as a matter of fact, lots of politicians are religious themselves and use religion as a way of means and beliefs to prove that their agenda is effective when it's not, and it's just a scheme to steal people's money and get votes and tell them, hey guys, I don't care about you, you should eat my throat and eat my Swedish meatballs, and you should do what I tell you to, and I only care about rich people, and that you should shut up about it and only give me more money. And then he says that because Jesus said so, that you should listen to me, which is what a lot of politicians do, not with just Christianity, but also Catholicism and Hindu and all these other cultures I can name, which, by the way, they love to use that religious thing. So as much as you think that a lot of politicians are avoiding religious beliefs or religious counters and religious scams. They already been doing it, they've been doing it for decades. You are factually wrong. Then he says, point number 21, some cultures have produced vital advances, others remain dysfunctional and regressive. All cultures are not equal. Criticism and valid judgments are forbidden. Yet this new dogma glosses over the fact that certain cultures, and indeed subcultures, have produced wonders, others have proven middling and worse, regressive and harmful. He's saying that if you're not in my culture and I don't believe in your culture, you are significantly inferior to me and you should listen to what I say, and that you should let me control you, and you are an inferior human race and you're an inferior part of the human race, and that you should be treated as a slave with less rights, and that you should shut the fuck up and do as what I tell you and let me surveil you and literally note down everything you do in your life. So that's why he's basically saying that all other cultures are inferior. He's basically saying that lots of cultures are harmful because he said so. That's literally what Adolf Hitler would have said. Then point number 22, we must resist the shallow temptation of a vacant and hollow pluralism. We in America, and more broadly the West, have for the past half-century resisted defining national cultures in the name of inclusivity. But inclusion into what? He said, excerpts from the #1 New York Times bestseller, The Technological Republic, Hard Power, Self-Belief in the Future of the West by Alexander C. Karp and Nicholas W. Zamiska. Tell me what you think. Leave down your comments down below. This is not only the most worst thing I could have read this year, it's an admission of Palantir CEO Alexander Karp saying that you should listen to what I say, that you should let the rich take over you, you should do what we tell you to do, and that you should shut the fuck up, and that your cultures are inferior, war should be good, and that you're going to be forced to fight the wars we tell you to do so. And he's saying that I actually want to be racist, and I love Hitler and Nazism itself. And he says that we should not have soft power, that we have to be more on hard power, which is basically saying that we're going to use soldiers and terrify you and tell you what to do by pointing a gun at you and surveilling what you do in life, by spying on what you send people messages of, what photos you take, where you go, where you search up, where you buy stuff, what you should buy and what you shouldn't buy, and what you express, what religion you believe in, and what you should do. This is not only anti-human, anti-Motonism, and anti-democracy itself, it's also very fascist, techno-fascist, totalitarian, authoritarian. It's very dictator-friendly, and literally just as worse as and just so you all know, I read Mein Kampf, and I read Adolf Hitler's manifesto. This is a manifesto in 2026 from a tech company, Palantir. In 2026, right now it's 8:14 p.m. Eastern time right now. This is from a tech company. We're in 2026, and this guy is like talking like if he's the king, like he's God. So you all don't think this is coming from some random person I'm reading the comments of? This is literally Palantir CEO. This post has 33 million views as of recording this. Let me repeat it. It has 33 million views. It has been posted all over the news. This is a manifesto written by Alexander Karp. Not only is this a threat to humanity itself, he's basically admitting, hey, I want to take over the world and you should do what I tell you to do. And we're going to take over a lot of the military industry complex so that you listen to us and obey us and sign up numerous digital surveillance contracts to keep watching what you do. And if you try to protest us, we'll arrest you and put you into jail for violating the freedoms that they have. So basically, he wants to take over the world. That's basically what I'm trying to say. So that's all I have to do. I've read this to you. Leave a like on this video, and if you're Alexander Karp yourself, leave a dislike and leave down a comment and a secondary manifesto for me to read in case anybody wants me to read that. That's all I have to say. This is pretty good. I think this is a good thing, a good step in Palantir's future. He at least admits that he wants to take over the world and that he hates people that are inferior to him, based on whatever that he thinks is inferior to him. So at least he says it out loud. He's not keeping it in secret through meetings or books or possible like decentralized applications or messages. So at least he's saying it now. And I tell you, the comments I'm seeing underneath this post here are like this looks like something out of like Cyberpunk, Terminator, Adolf Hitler's manifesto. Like, this looks like something out of like a fictional story. So this is Alexander Karp, or Alex Karp. He has 3 names, but basically known as Alexander Kedman Karp. This is the CEO and co-founder of the software company Palantir Technologies. As a matter of fact, this is the very guy who I'm against. Like, Donald Trump's like in second place. He's just like a dementia patient, right? He's just somebody I want to dispose of, along with Alexander Karp. Now that he's sent a manifesto, like, he's number 1 threat, right? We gotta deal with Palantir, Donald Trump. Elon Musk is just a decrepit millionaire, billionaire, right? Multi-century billionaire who has money, right? He's not as scary. He's just like a rich dude who keeps ranting about stuff and buying out companies. So I feel like Alexander Karp is probably one of our largest enemies, because not only is he in support with Meta, by the way, Meta is the one behind all the lobbying, doing all the digital social media surveillance, laws that they're trying to pass through Congress, which they are lobbying millions or hundreds of thousands of dollars into, which is really visible, along with the Data Center Coalition, which I've exposed on this channel before. I can tell you all about it. Data Center Coalition. This right here is called the Data Center Coalition. If anybody wants to know who is supporting the Data Center Coalition, all you have to do is click on the member section, and it'll tell you all these things about who can be a member and who wants to. And here are all the DC data center owner operator members. Here are the people that support data centers that you literally hate and despise with your entire soul. It is literally Amazon Web Service themselves, Cloud HQ, Compass Data Centers, Cyrus One, Google, Iron Mountain Data Centers, Microsoft Q2S, Stack Infrastructure, Switch, and Vantage Data Centers. And then here are the other, smaller eggs out there, along with Meta. By the way, Meta is one of our issues. And guess who? Not only who is in this list, guess who? Oracle themselves are also in the list. Visa are also in the list. I've seen these guys. I've seen them. DataBank is also in this list. There's General Tier, OpenAI, CoreWeave, Anthropic, large end user members. There's associate members. Here's all of these. I've seen Montera Infrastructure before. And what's insane is that originally Palantir was within this list, but they have Palantir owns different companies at this point, so you can expect that most of these guys are interconnected in some way. And in any case, that's my take on what is going on. I'm just basically translating what he's trying to say, because he tries to say it in an intelligent way, and it's not coming off as intelligent. This just comes off as a person who probably was on drugs and was working at the company and thought, I want to write a manifesto talking about how much I want to conquer the world and tell people how they're inferior to me. This is what Donald Trump has done. This is a result of allowing corruption flow so freely without consequence. Because there are people now defending pedophiles out there now. That's where we went, and saying that, yeah, we should kill other people innocently, and the innocent people, we should kill them, and it's justified because we said so, because the economy needs it, and that we have to, because we're passing we're trying to destroy the pluralism narrative, and he's just saying a bunch of bullshit. I've covered things on this channel for numerous years. Thought that I'd be reading a manifesto in 2026 from a tech company CEO. The last time I saw a manifesto from a tech company CEO was over a decade ago. Like a really solid one. Over a decade ago. So over a decade's passed by, and I guess we have our official. We have a bad guy in the story who clearly now openly says it. And we have Donald Trump. He openly says, I want to be God, and that you should listen to what I tell you to, and that I am fixing everything, and that I'm the Lord and Savior. And Palantir is saying that I am the messenger of God, and that I will enforce justice on the world. It's basically saying that using a technological republic narrative system basis type of thinking with a God mindset in it. So that's also there. And we also have Elon Musk. He's basically saying that rich people are superior. That's not what's going on. And at least now that I found out that, on this channel, this is why I invented Motonism in the first place. Motonism is a very thing against what Palantir is doing. Palantir is basically engaging in a more extreme form of techno-fascism. That's basically what they're doing. They want a techno-totalitarian government, which controls over people, their actions, what they buy, how they live, what they wear, what skin color, what kids they should have, and what the kids should look like whatever they buy, how they live, what they say, what they shouldn't say, can't say. It's all forms of like evil being admitted to, and then like at least he admits it. But yeah, stay safe, protest peacefully, and I think at this point on this channel I can say this legally. We have to burn down the company Palantir. We have to destroy it. We need a person who is a competent Democrat to take care of this, or an independent at least, because the Republican Party is not going to be doing that. Palantir is dangerous for the world. We should remove Palantir from the very face of the planet Earth, or at least pause its actions, and remove Alexander Karp as CEO, get him fired and arrested for basically treason and threatening to take over the world and genociding people, which by the way he has literally involved in invested money into genocide. So y'all know those AI war drones. Go look at Russia. You'll see what the genocide looks like. You know, all the bodies flying and the blood spilling all over the place. Look at Israel. You can look at the photo of the tomahawks hitting the girls' school that were all, you know, by the way, over 100 girls died there. And you're like, it's, you know, it's to remove pluralism, you know, it's just off the shoulder, you know, you just killed a bunch of innocent schoolgirls. You know, the photo of the backpack with the blood on it from the schoolgirl who was about to, you know, finish their school day. You know, you should look into that. Palantir loves that stuff. You know, now that they admit it, they love it. They love to kill people and invest money. And if it's not by their hands, they're willing to spend the money to kill people. Like how Elon Musk cut off USAID and is now allowing hundreds of thousands of people to die from sickness that is preventable, and Donald Trump destroying many forms of education, social media barriers, and content regulations that keep us safe and not surveilled by government that allowed us to get in this spot in the first place. And I happen to be living in this as a 20-year-old adult who grew into the world and into the economy, trying to survive, and having the pandemic, World War III, Palantir's Manifesto, and Donald Trump's dictatorship put onto me and above me on my parents and my family and my entire family tree says a lot about the era that we were born in, or have now finally entered adulthood into. So every person that I know possibly are just going to ignore this. They probably don't even know this manifesto exists. They don't know about the huge oil gas crash that just happened yesterday, which is going to show 4 months of suffering is about to get worse and even more worse. You could look at the oil and gas economy. It's not looking good. Lots of countries are losing oil and gas, and they're using up their emergency reserves, which means that a global collapse is about to happen in the oil and gas industry, which usually affects other industries, because not only is oil and gas used everywhere still, we didn't transform ourselves into a more green progressive country, global geoengineered world. We're not even prepared for a oil and gas crash, which will lead to people's gas prices and oil prices shooting straight up, meaning it will affect cooking, driving, living costs, travel costs, if you're able to leave the country in the first place, and if you're able to even get to your job in the first place, which will now become trivial. And we have job layoffs going on in mass, and we're not even prepared for losing our jobs to AI, which tells you that along with Taiwan's, you know, involvement with China wants to take over Taiwan in 2027, so you know is less than a year from now. It doesn't look like we're in the exact position prepared for that. So I just want to say we're gonna have to be prepared for the worst that's about to happen within the next few weeks. I'm not even saying 5 years, I'm saying weeks. So not only do the people I know are probably never gonna see this coming because they don't pay attention. Most of the time they don't. Even my friends don't pay as much attention until I push them over to tell them, hey, look at this thing's going on. This is gonna happen, and everybody I know is about to be affected. Like, really terribly. Like, really terribly gonna be affected. And yeah, as somebody who has no job and is in a more unhealthy spot right now, who is not in the very best place right now, who is not in the best health condition, who is also mentally scarred by numerous cruelties and adversity, who is now watching this and having warned people for over a year, as like watching this happen as it goes, and I'm like, man, I warned them, I told them, hey, pay attention. They didn't care. They said it's not happening to me, so it doesn't happen. And I guess it's now happening to them. You know, everybody I know who didn't care about what I said are now starting to care. But at what cost? At what cost? Some of the very reasons why Donald Trump became dictator is because we decided to be negligible, right? We decided to be negligible, and then we neglected logical, rational discussion to be taken. We ignored it. We put it to a side. We said that it doesn't matter because it's not affecting me. We said that it's not of any relevance. We said that it's too dramatic. We said that it's not that serious. And now here we are. And I want to ask everybody who will possibly watch this video if they think life's getting better. Doesn't seem to be getting better. I think it's getting better for the wealthy, not the ones who are normally still living life and still looking at opportunities to live in an apartment with another 3 to 4 people, which is not looking as bright as it did. Now the ones who decided to say it's not that serious or it's dramatic are not going to suffer the consequences even worse. Now that oil and gas has collapsed just yesterday on the global economy, not the United States, the entire global economy, not the United States. I want to repeat, the global economy. That's not like one country or a city or a town. It's the world. It's all the global superpowers going, oops, we crashed the global oil gas economy, and we collapsed the entire music industry, and we've collapsed the technology industry on a global international scale, on a geopolitical scale unseen before in over a century. So that's all I have to say as the project in here. This is why I invented monism for a reason, and I believe so. This is a big awakening in our mind, reading these 22 excerpts from the manifesto Palantir posted on their site, basically saying that that they want to take over the world and that they are very now closer than before to do so. Now, whenever anybody wants to read something as evil as the Mein Kampf, what Adolf Hitler wrote back in the day, they can just read The Technological Republic, Hard Power, Self-Belief in the Future of the West, because now, Alexander Cart, I give you that. Dang, you are really good at doing this. You know, I thought Kikasha's Stellism project was evil, but this is like next level evil, just saying that fuck you, you should do what I tell you to do type of evil. This is crazy. With all that. And here's all of this. Anyhow, they step out there, protest peacefully, and I think this is quite enough for that one on it.